big enough for all the students. Yeah, maybe 20, 20 posts, and it feels really overcrowded. And the second is the lectures are constantly being affected by students. Most of it is attention, people can't listen to their own voices and stuff like that. But there have been occasions where we kind of feel like it's much more lecture closer to 4 to 5 times in 1 2 hour sessions, so you're like, please be quiet. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we can look at relocating the SUH somewhere else on campus. There's been talk that they using these old SUHs, flyers, I know they spoke about the previous course rotating, and by the sounds of it, it was agreed that it's a good idea to start maybe thinking about having a chat about moving into there.
And as we had a conversation when she said that she's looking into
diversity. So meal you have one week, it's going to happen the week after.
Oh yeah, that's city people saying.
But as a campus, there is more diverse meal choice every day. Like you can walk into the campus, you can go to tacos, you can have pizza, you can have whatever it is. Why they have this, or you can buy a sandwich just out the sauce, or you walk to the co-op. That's fast. Unless you bring your lunch, that's your choice. Whereas here at City, if you're not happy with what's here, you
two separate things under the same umbrella. Obviously, if you're saying, okay, you're not going to reduce the prices, okay, that's fine, because if they just run them out there, well, I'm saying my point, I'm saying the same two things. Yeah, so not deal with them, so you can still deal with them,
It comes in the same.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's a strong
could you please ask them, because you respect my first saying, could you please ask them, don't go each other and let me know how could you please ask them, this would be respectful of each other, and raise their hand to speak out, you any solutions, any other staff members to go ahead and introduce, you know what you're going to do, could you please ask staff members that they raise their hands first, and then go wage, and rather than asking for somebody else to attend that, you know, this is always because I think, according to the minutes and according to what everyone is here, I think I did tell it's not having to take it, regardless of the bills and doors and all, it doesn't mean that that's not rest. That's what I'm trying to say. Would you please do that?
Okay, so I think in that case, and
Yeah, I don't know.
has sorted. What do you say about that stuff?
I think it's just like their expectations drive on the same line. So if you want needs, you bring something to me. You don't really like to make it because you drive and in line. So maybe not me, not them. But just an update thing. Communication was one of the big ones. So me and Nicole have been working on it with Robin and Julia. And like basically
Is this student issue or is this your take on it? It's very, very, very strange.
it's not I don't know if someone's on I'll just forget it.
So that's
Yes,
Right, yeah,
I'm just asking.
obviously there was an issue in national website, but anyway, let's go forward.
okay. Pass it.
Yeah, but I have some more stuff.
Offer the next on the agenda is monks and budgets. 2 seconds. How many users do you have on screen? Two's quite big. Three. Yeah, so it's one of those me. It's not me and me. We can bring up the iPads. Get the numbers up. Right. So, I'll run this. Everyone can have access to this. It's meant to be another project. So you know, get actual project working. So as a council, the first motion in serious looking at how we operate here as a housing. So how we can improve it. So the first few months is reducing it from 5 to 1 to 1 process to people. Talk about what how to that process much easier. The second was to the autumn to get the executive office positions and public consultations, which are normally contested in terms of the rest. And the third one was much closer motion around position changes, which now is effect. First, at the moment, which looks like it's slightly successful. We have 2 council candidates, 2 council academic. Although we do have 5 diversity, 5 diversity. So these 3 minutes. There's still going to be work. Raised by the council and raising that people not having a vice president might move over because people see the something a lot more just an officer role title. But in terms of candidates, really so in the democracy view, this is started kind of like staff to look into find out how engaging. So all the council involved in some capacity this year. We're seeing a lot of you looking at this in line with how we engage relevant. So what we aspire to be fast, flexible, dynamic, responsive, students move quickly, they should be able to create change as quickly as possible, and they should be dynamic, so students changing the sector, issues and needs of students represent. At the moment, really slow, really very our elections it's made change, a lot of people know time promotions to actually motion, and it's scripted by bylaws, very detailed, there's not much flexibility in this process. So how do we know it's slow? Councils have the 5 times a year trustee process, and then try to make it in line with bylaws. We're still going to structure. Councils within 6 weeks as council, and it's 2 instead. That makes it high escalation. So we have a time set for a 6-week period. We're not going to get any meetings. We can't move bylaws we're doing that. The trustee policy 4 times a year. It'll be important to keep on people know you sit on the trustee policy, student trustees, and external trustees as well. A lot of these people have high profile jobs, careers, and they are appointed for their knowledge. And their calendars are ridiculous, so you can't just come in on a way it has to be done in the future. council might be quite far more complex. It needs to be just because bylaw, which is slowing down progress. And most aspects as embedded in law, change value process change. So worst case scenario, you can't really sunset it out. Worst case scenario, we can council. It's mission council mandate needs that the decision that you make council, the next council is 2 months away. Then because of how it always works, that through, it could be then 3 months till next trustee involved, depending on what it falls. So that's always a 5-month process. And then for an next to the next council, so it takes effect. Everything's fine. Maybe by trustee council. That could be 5 months away. So it's taking 1 year to change really simple. It could be an opposition title change. It goes into bylaws. It has to go through bylaw amendment. And the obviously approval through CV and slash campaign. So that's really well as well. The next one is scripting. Everything has to go through bylaws. So everything is bylaws, which means that everything has to go through the process which is not engaging, and it means that lots of motions go to C, which is disheartening and slow down their progress. And it's just really important. Bylaws just having them, and we have to follow them. And means bylaws. So today the title were pretty much finished on the drafting criteria. Idea was if everybody in the beginning send out every schedule organise the email. And people have commitments when you send that. So what we don't want to do is constantly chasing people up. We rather give flexibility, say, well, I can't make 3 meetings, and the bylaws and then go, actually record this one to do it more ideal time. But the local don't have full flexibility. If this assessment session we'd be happy to that kind of thing. And at the level, these are the last 3 years. The sector average are 19%, Western Wales to hit 10% in the last 2 years. That means that you have very transactions actually not having a vested interest in the work that we do, which is probably needs to be relatable for students to know what's about, like working with changes and all these so there's Jen's quite an active student, but if we're looking at students who don't understand our structures, then it's going to be very hard to get support to tackle these issues like, okay, I know 3 months down the line, it's just getting back. We need to be more that. Students do. They also do all the time. They try to happen. But students don't understand the staff. We've got applications. One of the best practice is being told about the and we're like, great, because nice one. Being through that, and we'll try. So, but I don't, we're not letting staff students just get it. And sometimes it's don't engage, and it's not hours, so they're out on time, 3 hours a week, and outside meetings. They just don't like it. Well, a few hours go out, it's just you struggle really hard. Taking the faculty has been really reluctant to give them access to the cost of data. So you can email them. That is wrong. Talking process. For the faculty, so we need to make sure that the university are around.
It was rather than the past, you had to explain to the service learners.
And yeah, I sometimes I think to identify like to have motions. And most of that political jargon, like Western assessment, and just doing Western assessment. You don't need to massive public sense to make a point. Literally, our change is pretty. This is the problem. This how it's it's what doesn't get done. But formal structure isn't accessible to students. So how do we improve? Once we realize that's the next stage. Your report. We think the structure should look like. Everyone's got the structure, so we can move that tedious bureaucratic process. So taking the full and then you get simple change. It could literally be change the faculty name to better line up like to make a change if you people spoke about to realign So the top one is the bylaws, the foundation of the license, legal jurisdiction, things like that. We think only it's legally required. Nothing else is just literally legally required to be in there. Because at the moment, like all operational systems, and that's just capital processes in there. And anything that doesn't require you to use the approval power instantly without anything that needs to go through keyboards, if it's not legally required to do that, we'll just remove that bylaws and move into a new layer, which allows you to make changes quicker. And this new layer, working title, I'm really glad this one, so I've got that name. Democratic regulations. Terrible title. If anyone's got a great number for it, DEMREG. We did say DEMREG.
Just democratic regulations.
I think that's something that's to be accessible. So it's a working title to be more accessible students to get. So we've not discussed this with the first thing was previously today. I hope so.
It's quite fast one.
Yeah, but time goes quickly. Yeah. This is what we want to do.
That's what
Everyone's doing it. So things like things that anything to do with operation, anything to do with meter intelligence management, anything that doesn't need to which means that we don't need to change. So and that'll be good trustees unless needed be so if you look at all the names, all the changes. Officer of Red Roll, jobs, all these different jobs, it's just be there. As long as you identify the accountability.
So how do we just a question if we want to do it?
That's the part one. We're just very basic. So if you tell me how we will be you just report the right now. 9%, that's fine. It's not the worst. We've not been shut down. But university more shut down. Look, university stripped back all union services and now because they're like people send you all the time. And they were we do not want to go on that way. Trending going down. We don't know why that is because Joseph Parliament, our president, students have to do
I'm struggling to understand the process.
because unions fall into traps. Because happens to make union and they understand because what happens is that unions liberate ideas from the union liberate flat out ideas can be flat out and T-side right SU economy because they made whether we be able to take it in because working that out now the time after that change but a lot of unions resisting structures just come in as is into their unions so all these start building up everything happen so if something happens then you just fight address it happen step back just look at everything again and then build always be yeah well you need that change it's not it's not accessible a lot of things it's many places and Unity councils, yes, I'm not mentioning unity councils per se. No, I remember that. This is definitely not the same. Well, there is something we can well, we're not counting because we use concept of students. I'm talking about Lancaster, you need something completely different. You don't have schools and council. Instead, you have juries. Oh, yeah. They do have discipline. I know you, but more people want. And it's just making sure that yes. More thing. There have been examples when interventions happen where maybe it shouldn't happen, something tends to be positive, something's been turned out when, to me, whatever you guys say here, to me, then my job to go out to fulfill. And if you have too many people having layers, this should be respected as this should be the true authentic voice of students. But the moment, because the slow thing is so any referendum program that was referendum last year, regardless of what happened, the BDS the knowledge that I know, the BDS referendum should have happened. Because mandated by council. It's mandated by council should happen. That was the right process. That should have happened in the bylaw. But slow down if you remove the draft, so if you constantly have an outlet, if I constantly want to work in places that are private programs, blocking me every time, soon enough you lose momentum, you lose the draft, another issue comes up, and then that issue exactly that issue falls by the wayside. It's new issue, and now it's the same thing, and you can't leave trail of issue trying to tackle quickly, we'll be done, dusted, everyone's attention there, done. Whereas at the moment, if you don't have that speed to do that, address the issue, you end up calls where you have the horizon skills from 3-4 council councils because the process is so laborious that would actually hit progress.
I don't know exactly what you mean by
we want to look at the barriers are, reasons barriers are at the moment most irrelevant. It's really slow implementing because they have to adhere to these laborious structures, which they do. And we must do to that in most obvious ways, because this is the way it's going to be. So it's how I especially last time. But it's happened. We talk about made by style. That did feel like a structure. So this time we're doing IS in response to initially went to village and doing lots of testing and it happened. So this is initial idea I thought I've been moving one canvas from the out and you can put it in however you want. Or you could really have something new. I really like this because maybe you have your hand.
I think it's the idea of we investigate models to change a lot of how processors and then towards a point set huge job models and we make them ourselves, and it doesn't seem to me to be answers. We have so many models for decisions, and I think actually to an extent it's more powerful to us because our job is to produce GMP, and we should be able to make these decisions on our own. We shouldn't need students to make them for us. So I think every single time that we're having a discussion about finding ways of having necessary skills.
There's one phrase in the table that says you're not actually asking them, you have to be forced to.
Yeah,
You have to use your opinion in everything.
yeah.
So what we're trying to do here is so that we can help bring that attitude. So with this, the other flip side of freedom screening, we need to give our candidates freedom as well. But yeah.
Never mind, you tell me.
No.
There's actually national equality programs at the moment. I have a single course where I've just started freedom checking myself. Would that be effective like that?
The course we provide in the is now because that's used by universities and businesses looking at more like small team size and small projects. So students will go to work in a lab doing applications alongside with this. But the bylaws and everything say they have to change the dynamic a little bit. So if there's a problem with how the construction works, that'll be something.
So it's good to have more of a lateral structure then to make things more dynamic.
Everything else is going to remove any barriers to students they feel they have engagement with others.
So the students are closer to the bureaucracy as opposed to making
That's the dream. We want to enable teams to be as involved in the process as we can without being alienated.
Yeah.
Are there any ideas currently in place that can hit the ground running if this change happens?
So if this change happens, it's all coming to student consultation. So we have come up with several models. We've been looking at several models from different unions and looking at how they apply here. What we've not done is put any of that on here because we don't want to have that conversation yet. We feel like if we put those models down, it would influence decisions and what you count as barriers because you go, oh, that's great. But actually, you think and look at
That can be more dynamic and that can get comes evolved. Whereas this part of the application is very limiting. We have to have biological changes, lab reactivity.
meetings for an enormous idea to come through, how would they propose it into council? And things like that, and get invited to propose it. So the current structure they have. Facing lines, they just can't do it, and we've got students that have bigger worries than just. So there's students that have more worries than just I can book a facing line. They've got other things behind it that they just can't do, and we just have to be really careful. It should be to the decision of the individual rather than us mandating.
So by their own discretion.
Yeah. Oh, the final bit as well is policies and motions. So we want to change policies and motions as well and make them far more accessible. It was meant to change last year. There was a motion that we brought to council to change motions to ideas. But because ideas were wrapped up in the bylaws, it was very hard to change motions to ideas without changing the bylaws, which slowed down progress again. That's another example. And that meant that we couldn't even just change the language of the motion to make it better, because the term motion was the used in the bylaw term. So we need to look at how we can make it more flexible and accessible that way as well. It's a language. And motion as well, the current policy booklet that we've got, I don't know if anyone read it. It's not very good. It's just loads of words. And to go through, you have to go through every single policy the same. That's a very loose thing to do it. But the policy booklet exists as it is in other parts of our structures. Whereas what we need to do is make the policy accessible so people can just read it, have an overview of what the policy means, and then just move on. We've got policies that change positions, but the policy still exists in the booklet. But it doesn't need to, because if the policy was to change bylaws and bylaws change, why does the policy still exist? And there's other things like that. The bylaws just aren't accessible as well, where we've had policies come in, an ex-officer gave me an example, where they wanted to change the bylaw, and it was to let them speak, it was allowing people to go to council and speak, students to speak. But students are already allowed to do that, so why is there a policy being put in for something that already exists in the bylaws? Well, it's because the bylaws aren't accessible. So there's loads of things like that. That's sort of progress. Right. I just kind of wanted everyone's feedback. So there's these questions that I thought were good questions. I want everyone's opinion, if I can. So what are the biggest barriers to creating change, in council's opinion?
Biggest barriers to creating change? That's funny. I could say something, but I'm not going to say that. Well, I think sometimes it can be the officers. Why not? Because if no one can, if somebody can't, I'm not approachable or I'm just a rubbish officer, then you're kind of stuck at first call in that sense. And it's like the same with our force reps and faculty reps and the whole elected body, basically.
Okay.
Coordination.
In what sense?
Even if you got all the resources and all the information you want to, in order to make change, sometimes coordination can be a trouble.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when
Bureaucracy, is that what also like you're saying?
Yeah.
Things like you know when we have enough resources to do something, or we stop from doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you got the right team, maybe you got the right people like trying to make change, but if you don't have like the proper coordination, you're wasting time.
Oh,
Orange.
yes. Yeah, but Tom, look at
Hmm?
the sound network.
Which one is down earlier?
It's not on YouTube.
So coordination officers, any other barriers? Josh, has his hand up.
Is this for students in general who wanting to make change, or for us as a
Both.
I think for students in general, that they don't understand a lot of the time what we're about as a council and what actually is a union themselves. Because I know a lot of people in our course, they'll moan about, a lot of people say to me, they're like, oh, you've got something to do with the uni and student union. Like, can you like do this? I was like, it's kind of got to go through certain processes first before I can actually do stuff about it. And they don't understand that, so I don't know if it's worth putting something, if we had something in with regards to Welcome Week that actually makes students aware of what is actually going on and how change happens throughout the uni.
Yeah.
I was going to say similar things. I think you need to start getting students from enrolment when they're keen and enthusiastic about the university, because by the time it gets to the second and third year, A, they're busy, and B, often they're disillusioned with it and just want to leave, so they're not going to then engage with what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit of a small thing, but students I've spoken to who haven't come into the back of the student union before assume it's some kind of office where they're not supposed to go unless they're here on some kind of official business. I don't know really how people change that, because you've got the activity wall and everything, but
That would link directly with Jill and Josh's points. This isn't just a problem here either, this is a problem like sector-wide with unions. Students just don't understand what unions are about. So unions aren't a physical thing. They're really not a physical thing, they're a concept. It's collective change. The union isn't this building, or this room, or this. You're not the union at all, you're just a very minute part of it. Like less than 0.5% of it. You are.
Thanks for
The union is 23,000 students that study here that haven't opted out. That's the union. The union is the concept of students coming together to make collective change. You can opt out, you have the right to opt out. It's on eVision, you have an option to opt out, which students have done.
What does that entail?
You don't have access to the SU, basically. Really? Yeah, and you can opt out and you just don't get access to any of our services.
Is that monitored?
There's a block list, but it's very hard to enforce because students have student cards and it's very incredibly hard to enforce. But if you opt out, you can't win an election because technically you're no longer a member of the SU.
I'm sorry, Tom, I'll just touch up on that. If you do opt out, I mean, technically, yeah, you opt out, you can't have access, but it's not that we just, turn away students. They can still access our services. The only thing they can't do is opt out is just not vote in the elections. That's the only official thing they can't do.
Technically, if you opt out, it is technically. I'm not saying we're not going to turn someone away if they come up with financial problems, but technically,
we're not going to turn them away.
Yeah, we're not going to turn, but technically, if you opt out, you have no access.
Yeah.
But you can't vote and you can't run an election if you opt out.
yeah. Sorry, I was going to say time. As a rep and like everyone else, I imagine you've got studies to do and other requirements and maybe families to run and things like that. So time can be limited.
Right, I'm going to flip that on its head a little bit. Is it time or is it the communication channels? Because time in the sense of getting up from North Campus to South Campus, walking up the hill and spending 10 minutes to get to a physical building, and then coming and actually getting the access. Is it the time that's a barrier, the communication channel? Because everyone's got time. Everyone else doesn't have time. Everyone has time somewhere. Because if people didn't have time,
I think time within in the school, within the campus. Again, with managing your own studies, I think that can limit the amount, especially, I don't know if anyone else experiences, but it limits the amount of feedback that I could get. I'm getting a lot of feedback, but I could get 2-3 times as much feedback if I had more time to do it.
so time for yourself.
Yeah.
So time for the volunteers.
As a rep, I would say I would be able to get much more feedback if I had more time to do it.
So rep engagement time, if you don't mind being describing.
With regards to that, I think it's accessibility for us, so the students, because students know us, but a lot of the time, if we're in, there's no set times where we're a certain place, a certain time for them to talk to us.
Faculty reps on tour.
So you're the barrier.
Something like that.
I think it might be, yeah.
Accidentally, not your fault,
Accidentally, but
you're
yeah,
the barrier.
I know with regards to another people have said it with another faculty.
So this is where I go back to the point where I'm not discrediting your rules, by the way, because I think officers are fantastic and officers should exist. But if you don't have the time, you then become the weak link. So is it because the rest of our structures don't pick up that slack that's the barrier? It's not your fault, you've got your own life and everything like that. But if the rest of our services aren't accessible, then you're not accessible.
Yeah.
That's a barrier in itself.
Yeah.
And you are not the union.
it might
You're able to change within it.
it might be worth, well, if we do have to change within the things, but maybe putting a motion through with like having faculty reps, like the officers have their certain times where they are certain places, and like Josh as Warsaw officer will be at Warsaw on the desk for a certain time each week. If that would be within regards to faculty reps as part of their job, be in a certain place, maybe an hour a week or an hour.
So stability. We're looking at stability. So instability.
So people know where they can contact somebody and when.
To a specific time.
Now, what we want to, I don't want us to get involved in trapping, this is why I've not put a structure forward, is getting stuck and looking at the current structure we've got and how we can just improve that, is looking at how we can just create a new structure that encompasses that. So just having those permanent access times might not actually be the issue that we need to resolve. It's how can people engage without having to directly engage through you. So how can you engage directly with the decision making without having to go through the officers? Because you as officers are representatives, you're here to be the agents of change, you're the ones that take all these collective views. But the collective views don't have to come through you, they can come through another channel and still be considered in the decision making. So it's looking at that as well, so it's looking beyond just...
then change for the uni in regards to student voice and how that's run.
We're looking at it like an open book, a blind that is still an open book, we've got a load of space to whatever we want with, basically. Round up, but we want to know what you think the barriers are so we can start looking at how we can do them. But don't look at the current structure, look at it, just the barrier as a whole. Ellen?
You answer my question.
Brilliant. Any other barriers? Well, going too far. So,
One more? Ready?
Right, so the next bit was, we did put up an example of what a structure could look like with the changes in...
Sorry, I have got a barrier. Staff.
Yeah,
We've got staff.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
And in what particular sense?
Their understanding of the union and how it works and their engagement with it.
So is this more about academic staff than the university staff, or is it all staff across both the union and the institution?
I think
you can be ruthless if you want, I'm not going to take offence.
half the stuff that
The whole point is that you can be honest. I'm not going to get upset. Don't worry.
I haven't got a problem being ruthless. I think what I'm thinking of particularly is university staff. My own experience is not so much working alongside university staff, but certainly from a student's point of view, there is an unrealistic expectation from staff sometimes in the power, particularly I would say of the full-time officers. And in terms of my own experience as a faculty rep, which people have heard of at different times, I entered into an unnecessary dispute with the faculty office over whether or not I could email course reps, and there needs to be an understanding of what the faculty's function is and what the union's function is and how the two work together.
Yeah, so one of the things that we can look at with our structure then is trying to align them to the change structures in universities so we can better align when union goes in. Because at the moment we bring a lot of issues in council, but where do they go after? Because the council doesn't align with any university structure.
Well,
they go to any of their meetings. So
they go to a PL somewhere and then they die.
Yeah, so adding more localised accountability and change.
Staff in the uni and the perversion of democracy, specifically surveys, where the surveys are critical of them basically. So the computer science department was going downhill, I ran a load of surveys, I asked whether I could run them, they didn't reply, they sent me on a wild goose chase, emailing pretty much everyone in the faculty, individually asking for permission, even people who had nothing to do with the people I was surveying. And eventually I just said, screw it, I did it myself. And then when I tried to show them the results, they were having none of it, and they claimed that none of the problems that the students themselves had said that occurred actually happened, which is stupid because the students are actually saying they occurred and they occurred. So it's just staff being abrasive to change and not wanting to confirm with what actually the students are saying, just blindly going into it. We nicknamed one of our lecturers Chernobyl Buckley. What?
Nice to you, mate.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, we nicknamed one of our lecturers Chernobyl Buckley because his second name's Buckley, and basically he won't accept the fact that his program doesn't work.
his program that basically decides our final exams. Because we do our exams through a program that he wrote 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. It doesn't work anymore. But yeah, he wasn't accepting that it didn't work. He said, oh, it's worked for the past 10 years. It can't fail on the 11th.
So then it's making sure that the structures enable you to get to the right paths and make sure you're getting to the right place straight away.
Well, I think that's a problem.
The barrier.
That's going to be a problem in terms of voting, because why are students voting for representation when the staff at the university won't engage with the union? What's the point? You're voting for no change.
It was very specific members of the staff, but they've been reprimanded since. I went above and above and above until they basically reigned.
Yeah, change, you're right, there's a lot of barriers to change. Change does happen, but it doesn't happen as quick as you'd like it to.
When you've left?
Yeah, exactly. So that's one
What
of the
do you
things.
care then?
Yeah, that's one of the things that's tackling. We're trying to make it. If it's more, so the university work on stats. That's across the sector. Universities work on statistics. The main thing that they care about is quantity, not quantitative, not anecdotal evidence. They care about raw statistics. At the moment, because we're not that engaging, and the 9% of our student body engage with the most publicised event in union calendar, the elections, and they don't engage with anything else. Students here love surveys though, right? It's weird. We went out with the Have Your Say survey, and literally you can walk up to a student, snatch your iPad off you, and just fill it in, you love it. And it's not for the incentive. Sometimes you go, oh, by the way, could we win an Amazon? You can win an Amazon, oh, sweet, I just like surveys.
But then nothing happens with that information. When I started here, back in 2010, when I first started as an undergraduate, I had complaints about feedback, complaints about teaching, complaints about timetabling, and those complaints are still going on now, 7 years later.
Because beyond those surveys, we don't have the same level of engagement. If 200 students turned up outside the faculty office, they'd listen straight away. If students go, well,
depends on the faculty office.
In an ideal world in Tom's head, if 200 students rocked up outside the faculty office, they should listen. They should. But yeah, it is trying to do all that. There's nothing else to put on.
There's nothing else
On just, I had to vote on. There's nothing else.
It's not a proposal for the structure per se, but can we make suggestions bearing accessibility in mind?
Accessibility is the biggest thing. We don't want any barriers to life. We want it to be inclusive and accessible to all students. That's the main thing. So anyone can engage with any through any medium.
One easy, well, I don't know if it is easy, but one quick way you can make things more accessible on the website is to allow students to change the background.
Yeah,
We can do that.
You can.
Yeah. You click the accessibility button on the top and it does
The new toolbar pops out from something.
The toolbar's new, but high contrast mode has been a thing for a while. So it's the contrast symbol at the top.
Thank you.
Right, Thank you. Look now. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
oh,
next thing, the principle of the new structure of taking the different steps out of the bylaws to make change quicker. Is everyone kind of like in favour of the ideal of that?
Depends what's it going to be.
In principle.
In principle, taking anything that doesn't need to be in the bylaws to the next level down. So that there's more ability for officers to make change.
there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be other stages to engage, by the way. I'm not just going to go off and round and invite people to come in and talk to us and everyone. We want everyone's feedback. We're going to also go to students that are involved in council and talk to students about why we're inaccessible as well. Has anyone got an alternative name to democratic regulations? Because that name is terrible, it's too long, and it's inaccessible. I feel like Demregs. We're going to put a hashtag in front of it as well.
Hashtag Demregs. Yeah, hashtag Demreg. Hashtag.
No.
You need it.
What the hell does that mean to anyone?
Democratic regulations,
Why would I know
Demregs.
that? Why would a normal student know that?
Because you need to know about Demregs.
What
Or
is
Demregs.
democratic regulation?
What else?
What's a simpler word for democratic?
The problem was is that democratic regulations, whether you short it down to that really funny hashtag or not, is that an accessible term for students?
Other
I
words.
think to call it anything else was distorting what it is.
Yeah.
And anybody that's interested in it is going to understand what it is.
Anyone else have any opinions? This is why we're asking, so if you feel like That's fine. I thought it might be.
If you're not interested in it, it doesn't matter
So
to you anyway.
you're gonna say, you said democratic
The problem
regulation.
is that we're trying to
Representative
become that barrier of
rules.
apathy, so we want people to know that it matters to them.
Yeah.
And with democratic regulations, get people piqued to their interest or anything to know that they can get involved in decision making.
Within the university, regulations is thrown at you all the time.
Representative rules.
So people are familiar with the term.
Or rep rules. Or representative rules.
It's not just representing, so it's means structures and things, so we can't call them rep rules because even though it's just a representative, if you said rep rules, I'd think it's a code of conduct for student reps.
Okay.
And that's where the language comes in. Because that to me,
So it's just the code.
we want things to be kind of like the type to be all encompassing of what that is. So that's one of the reasons around the Austin name changes.
It says
It's all encompassing
synonyms
what
for
that is.
democratic is elected representative,
Egalitarian.
parliamentary,
Popular of the people, popular,
Yeah, so-
egalitarian.
You could call it representative regulations
Yeah.
for the alliteration.
Yeah, that's what I said, rep regs.
The problem with rep regs is that, it's whether you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you look at it though and go, that looks like representative regulations look like code of conduct for representatives, not
What about
It's looking
egalitarian?
at that
Oh
on the
my
flip side.
god, no. Let's just leave it to democratic regulation.
Or
Hashtag
Demregs.
Demregs.
Yeah,
Demregs.
academic.
Yeah,
I,
this is a
I
hashtag.
said it as a joke in a meeting and people have gone for it. It's terrible.
It's the first thing you can get.
How else can we
Demregs.
improve? Don't say for me to get a better haircut, just add a trim.
How else can we improve what?
And
Improve
how else can we improve? Just in like on this side of things. On
Is that a dress?
this is actually a long line tee.
I know, I'm just joking.
Is that a
I've got
dress?
one,
But
I reckon wear it with tights if you want it.
I probably could.
Bless
But,
you.
well, basically I'm wearing tights. So
How can we improve
Spray on.
how else can we improve on this side, on the decision making side?
decision making?
Decision making side.
How can we improve?
On this side, not student voice of the whole. That's another one. Well, how else can we
Make
improve?
decisions.
How else can we improve? So we
Make
can
decisions.
actually make decisions.
Yeah, and not sit on the fence.
Oh, no.
You're allowed to sit on the fence.
The fence is a good place for something.
Does it not change with it?
I wouldn't know, I've never sat on it.
No, so how can we improve student voice? How can we improve what this is, what you do, what your role is? How can we improve this structure? Like, what else would you like to see changed to make it better and more
What
accessible?
would I like to see change?
Simple English, perhaps.
Full-time officers.
Can we have a unique council in different faculties' buildings?
What did you say?
Yes, we
Full-time
could.
officers.
If people wanted that, if people were open to that, yeah, we could easily move uni council around campus, yeah.
Okay.
I want to have one in Walsall, it's just with the sheer number of reps we have here, it's very hard to get this amount of reps over there than it is to get 2 or 3 reps from over there to here. But to me, it should be
It's
everyone
like
should experience.
make possible for the students on the buildings, like on campus, to go to the uni council. Not only the reps, but also.
So that's looking at what the purpose of union council is to get there to fill. So we do allow adding students into union council, but they should be feeding into the decisions being made. Now, if it's just to get student feedback and general feedback, should student issues be part of union council, or should that be a student forum instead? Is there a gap that we're missing? Because all the time we spend on student issues, which is great, this is not devaluing what comes through as student issues. You need to know that. But is union council a place where decisions are meant to be made, a place where we should be getting generic feedback, or should that be somewhere else? So it's these kind of questions. So would it be union council that you want to move around, where people can engage with things that they can't vote on, it's just decision making? Or would you have it where you collect your data from? So would you have your open student forums and things like that? It's all those kind of questions that to ask. What is the purpose of union council? Make that the purpose. Don't try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone when you just need to get that fundamental thing right. And that's what we want to know. Like, is union council engaging with people? Well, no, because most of it's just discussion. Students want to come and give the feedback and spend a lot of time talking about their issues. Is union council the best place for students to come and talk about their issues? Probably not. That's why I have offices and tours improvement. That's why we should have that gap that's filled. Maybe education committee should be that. It should be an extension of what a faculty committee is. So more students can involve around their academia. It's looking at that big approach. Yeah.
Surely student issues would be faculty council if the student voice is working well.
Yes.
But is student voice working right at the moment? And how do students engage?
Just the faculty run the council.
But if it's something around catering issues, would you send them to a faculty council? Well,
they gets brought up at our faculty council and then gets, especially over the Walsall, it gets brought across to our faculty council.
Yeah,
It's all possible.
Yeah,
the
it is.
faculty council are supposed to be for the academic issues, aren't they?
No, that's
I
not
would have
what
thought
it
so.
is.
That's our, we have education committee,
So that's where the spirit comes from. So where do you take that? If it's named after all the academia stuff, would you take general issues for that? You don't know.
No, but faculty
Everything-
council
faculty
is
council.
wider issues, it's not just
Yeah,
academic
faculty
ones. That's
council
why you
gets
have
broad.
catering.
Oh yeah,
estates.
I don't know. I'm not disputing what that means for, but on face value, we had someone who sits on it understand what it is, someone who doesn't sit on it getting that assumption of what it could be. Because faculty council to me, if I didn't know what it was, would be academic issues across the faculty.
Why do they need that?
I'm gonna get some friends.
Surely there's a lot of duplication between all these different meetings. Why are there so many?
Something else we can challenge. Why are there so many meetings, Steve, on the board? Why are there so many meetings?
My understanding is, because the way it works is like, the committees, I think there's one with the course itself, wherein they can come in and collect. But I think it's a good idea. I mean, rather than giving you my understanding, I'd say why I think it's a good idea. Because I think, like, if we have these portals, right, if it gets dealt with in the early stages, that's good, and like that we can keep a track of it as well. Whereas if you like get rid of all of these things and you have a big one, right, it's going to go to that one. It either goes through or doesn't, right? Because in the big meetings, what they do is, if it's not very important, it goes, we'll go outside of the meeting, and anything outside of the meeting.
Well, they shouldn't adhere to what the rules are, but my point is, you could get a typical issue that everybody talks about, feedback, right? And that in theory could be mentioned at faculty council, an education committee, and a union
It does
council.
get some.
Why? Why all three?
The thing is, at the moment we're going to student voice policy review. I'm bringing it here because we've got to a stage where we need reps, because we were just going to change the policy and do things a little bit different, as in the management side of it. But now they're looking at whether faculty reps and course reps should be what's it called? Not elected. What's the other word? Selected. So obviously that affects you guys, as the reps are. So whoever wants to come forward and be part of that meeting that we have, you're welcome to put yourself forward for that, because we need your voices. So I don't know, it's just not affecting me, it's affecting. But I know what would work better and how it would be. So yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of media education. Like I said earlier, a lot of things are going to respond to something that's happened, not to a genuine need. So at the moment we have enough. At the moment we don't have an accommodation officer, and this is the point. Right, so at the moment we've got a position for accommodation officer. That was brought in response to the fact that Union Council felt there needed to be an accommodation officer. In the past few elections that I've seen or been involved in directly, or I've done a lot of research on, last spring, no one stood, no candidate. This spring, the upcoming election, no candidate. Autumn, by-election, where positions are primarily filled, still no candidate. So why is that? Why isn't that reviewed? Why is that position still there? Why is there no discussions around why that's not relevant? And is there a duplication there? Is it because universities have accommodation systems? Are they taking them blunt? So where are these issues being tackled? One of the things around the new community officer role is to pick that up anyway. So are we duplicating services there? Isaac does accommodation drops in his current role.
Change now, not anymore.
Isaac did accommodation drop-ins as part of his current role. So he was doing that, and there's accommodation officer as well. So where's the relevance there? Does that position increase to review that? No, it's done a direct response, immediate reaction to an issue that was identified. And sometimes that's not the right decision to make, because now we're seeing now that technically to me, is that position failing because no one's standing for it? Is it irrelevant because you start standing for it? Or is it because we're not getting out there to people with it? So it's kind of looking at other things.
The third one.
Yeah, I agree.
But how much do we try to get out there?
Well, to be fair, that's a wider issue, and it has occurred to me, and perhaps something that you might want to discuss with Anne, because I think marketing in general of the student union is bad across the board.
I don't agree.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you mean by marketing?
As in advertising,
What are you trying to say?
as in advertising what it does, what it's for, and how you access it. Because if you are a first year student, you've heard of student unions, you think they're arranging your Freshers' Week, and then there is absolutely no appeal when you get to second and third year to engage with the student union whatsoever. Yet, We all know there is lots of things going on in the student union, and lots of things that the student union does, and lots of things that it does really, really well, actually, but people don't know about it. You know, there was yesterday, we've got people all around the place for longer. Yet, where was the opportunity to market the student union then, and what it does when you've got all that footfall in?
In fact, the uni was marketing it themselves, which is even worse.
That's a good point, Matthew.
I'm going in the order of hands. Right at the back. You okay? And then these two can have a race. Let's have a look. That was weird, sorry. Josh.
I think it's just kind of really elaborating on your point about advertising, because without being horrible, I do think that it is lacking, really. I mean, when I first came to the SU about problems that I foresaw about Telford campus, I was very unaware about the campus officer position. It's not something I see advertised on Telford, and I question as to whether this lacklustre of role of people going through for the accommodation officer is more to do with that we're not getting as much kind of advertising now for the position in the first place.
So,
because I think
an all-student email was sent out to all students. That's one path of communication. That's path number one. I'm just going to show you. So I'm not, like, there is definitely an issue with communication. That's everywhere, that's sector-wide. No one can get it right. I'm just telling you the different channels, and then we need to find out the barriers for those channels, because we try everything.
I'm not saying there's nothing, I'm just saying that personally I'm not seeing much of it.
So an all-student email sent out around the elections.
The student email addresses, which haven't you read?
So that's issue number one. But we don't have access to the personal ones because we don't get it.
That's the problem.
Exactly. Some people set up forwarding rules, some don't. So that's one path of communication that's flawed already. The second communication that's flawed, poster blindness. How many posters are about in what we consider prime football areas, on the way to the library, on the way down to like all the spaces around here?
Visual displays?
On the screens as well, yeah. But people don't read them because poster blindness exists. That's two communication channels that are flawed. On the Freshers Week, all materials like everywhere. When people move in, we're there. We're there physically to help people move in, show them to their halls, and they're wearing SU brand stuff. That's physical presence. We've got some talk constantly on campus, going at different times to different areas, to different buildings, because we tell them to go to different buildings, and they also want to engage with different students. That's three flawed areas of communication. So if the communication channels exist and we're using them, and it's obviously reaching some people because you're all here, why isn't it reaching others? So that's the issue. If we can get the answer to that with the sort of the golden problem of marketing. There's so many channels throughout. Facebook, paid adverts targeted to students. Instagram, paid adverts targeted to student staff. They've identified that they are University of Wolverhampton students on this campus through Facebook. We can target them directly because of how specific Facebook advertising can be. So is it that we're not getting the message out there, so we're getting the wrong message? Is it because our structure is so inaccessible that they get the message but then just don't understand what we actually do? Even when we simplify, put everything in layman's terms, you still don't understand that we're not a physical presence that just provides free ball on Friday. We're a union of students where students come together to collectively work together. So where do we get it right? It's really, really difficult. By the way, anyone that wants to input on the communications part of separate, we'll go start the project for that. But if anyone wants to be involved in that, it's not good. So it's there, but we can never get it right. But we want to know how to get it right. So I'm not like validating why it's good. I'm just saying we do try. That was 5 off the top of my head, different communication channels that you use that just failed. And the barriers being presented. Sorry.
I was only going to add into marketing thing. So I know definitely at Walsall that people just go, they know the squeeze box has the squeeze box, oh, we're just going to go there, grab some food, go, but they don't know, a lot of people don't know it's a student union building.
That's actually been tackled now, so staff are going to have set days over there, staff are going to go in there.
So I don't know if it's worth like, where, because even on the outside it just says the squeeze box. If there was like even like Wolverhampton the SU logo or something on the outside,
the Walsall campus operations thing, that's one of the things I'm looking at, the brand and how we set it in. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, so it's like, this is like reports going to happen in things, but if anyone's going to this is like, you know, it's important. Yeah, it's, you know, everyone looks like really like. So who had answer this? Hi, Andy and Jay, and you have your hand up, you just took me back. Right, can I just go left to right? Because I can actually keep track of people that hand first.
We'll move on after.
If people want to move on, we can do, but yeah.
Guys, do you want to
But
move
if we're
on?
not doing a report,
Yeah, I'll take move on. Move on.
I just wanted to say, like, what about going into lectures, like with career development week and stuff? There's people coming in and just explaining, you know, about that, and then people, students signing the register and asking questions and things like that. Could there be like more of that?
The problem that we have with lecture shout-outs is that we do them. There's a lot. I've done several this year. The officers do quite a lot. Unfortunately, there's over 600 courses and there's only 20 members of staff. Even if we try to tag every single lecture, you're not going to guarantee to get every student because of core modules versus optional modules and things like that. It's going to be very hard to reach everyone physically. It is something that we do. We can extend that. It's the time because we don't have an unlimited time resource. We don't have the officers free to go into all that. We don't have staff free to do it because we've got all the other things going on as well. Without everyone in the space, we can't actually function as what we need to function as. It's something that we do. It's something that we can definitely look at. But again, communication to students is very hard. So it's like,
you know, the thing you're telling us about student forum.
Yes.
I feel like if we did something like that, it would be very successful because you know, students use stuff like we've got from spider things around the accommodation, stuff like fixing and stuff where the people actually fix physical things within like a few days of them occurring. So if we had something like that with the ESU, same idea, where students could log in their requests via these games.
I do appreciate your point, but fixer is not being used by the students.
It is.
Fix it.
If you can advertise it enough, I feel like it's very valuable.
Fix it has its pros and cons at the moment.
Students don't use it, so they just say to the staff members, students like yourself, right, do use it. There are many students who uses it. The majority of them don't use it to report stuff, even though you have to be.
I still feel like if we tap into it, advertise it enough, just like any other thing, we will still have another mean of communication.
I'd recommend you look at the ideas page on a lot of the union's websites. Liverpool Guild is a prime example of that. So Liverpool Guild do an ideas page. Basically, any student ideas are different because ideas is an official structure through student democracy to make change. So students can submit an idea on this ideas hub on the Liverpool Guild website. If enough students vote that instantly goes to discussion with the full-time officer team. And when it hits certain benchmarks, it goes to different areas to escalate the problem. So it's like an easier way of doing a petition without going out and getting hand signatures. It's the digital way of doing it. You literally just log in and upload. Very successful. An absolute nightmare to manage logistically because of how they then validate those claims. They use a student jury system, so students are picked randomly from a pool based on the demographics of the total student population to sit as like a random jury to discuss motions to improve from their ideas. So that's how they tackle it. The accountability is not against officer to officer, it's just done on demographic sampling, which some people say is more accurate than because it's bringing in unengaged students that may hold completely different views to the engaged students that they have in the councils. There's lots around that. We're looking at that anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't use that sounds a bit fixing right now. But it does exist. Look at Liverpool Guild, you really enjoy theirs.
I'm just volunteering. You said if you want to be involved, let me know. So.
Yeah, so I'll start up a project around comms and see if we can try and improve that. You in?
Why don't I just speak? I don't know if I can speak.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think staff could speak. That's what I was just saying. What my way.
Tom speaks all the time.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Where's Robin?
It's busy.
Probably out saving them.
Yeah, it's just sorting something out.
Just by the way, we do try like every single marketing channel we can think of. But if you've got any more suggestions, please bring them
I've got
forward.
plenty of suggestions. I used to work for external relations.
Happy to hear them after this.
Yeah, we'll set up a project for it.
On Basecamp.
Not Basecamp. Robin's turned me into a Basecamp fan.
I quite like it. It's useful.
It's useful. It can be, but
I don't like it because it keeps notifying you asking how you do.
It's moved itself to the spam.
So the trial period's over. Robin's got more of an indication how it's going to be used. So Basecamp will be revamped.
Can't you ask the nice thing? Say you're a registered charity with a registered charity number. Because I said I went to
We've already got it. We've got it back.
Oh,
It's back because we've already got a charity status for it, so they already know we're a charity. So we've got a discount, we've got it back. We've just not pushed it out yet because Robin's just cleaning everything up.
Alright.
Yeah.
Oh, do you run the Twitter account? Oh, I thought it was you guys around the desk.
No.
So, but you also did think Robin was the
I
CEO.
did tell you it was mine.
It gives off that
I
impression.
didn't realise those was marketing.
Yeah, that's why I was like this.
It's good to say, live streaming.
Oh, so you get all those pictures of Wolverhampton I sent you?
No, again, no, that's
Are we
just miseducation.
No, the other ones.
Prime example.
The ones with the downtown Wolverhampton with all the skyscrapers.
Yeah, if everyone's done the discussion like this, yeah.
What was that?
So, I'm going to move on to the officer reports. We're not going to go through it, take your time, it's fine.
Okay.
But let's just agree and disagree with that. It's okay. So, Afshin's report.
Oh no,
already-
are we doing, is it full time officers first or is it part time?
It's in order. Give me 2 seconds.
Are you doing, aren't you doing it as a collective or part time?
Okay. We'll do that.
That's, I don't know. I
Wait
don't
2
know.
seconds. Officer reports first. So,
Who's that?
Afshin's.
Oh yeah. That's, she did a good report. What
So I
was it
email
say
you my
again?
report.
Should I just say it forward?
Yeah.
In the bylaws.
What is?
Approving reports.
Yeah.
So we
Do you
all
agree
approve
with
the reports?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. Let's get that one go first. Abibas?
Oh.
Do you all agree with having this report?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Guys, if you've got any questions, yeah, feel free to ask us any of us. You can do
I'm
it.
sat in the field.
Yeah, you don't have.
Isaac's report.
You stalking my thing now?
Me?
So you retweet something from my last union council.
Oh, was that? Why was it pinned then?
Because that was the last union council that I went to.
Okay, Isaac's report.
What?
Okay, Isaac's report. You all agree?
Yeah.
Can I ask some questions?
Go on. Go on.
It says here, been looking into FSE, engineering students' concerns in particular.
Yeah.
Why in particular those ones?
Because it's gone really big. Now, I don't know if you know about Liam's aeronautical engineering students. You know, they've not had lectures. Well, they've had lectures, but very basic, not specific to their aeronautical subject or field. And they did not have those lectures, the specific ones, for about 9 to 10 weeks, right? And obviously, it's going to have an impact on their exams as well. They've been asking for dates back to back. It's not happening. They've tried approaching them. The head of the department wouldn't get back to them. Finally it has come around to me. I've been looking into it for a few weeks. I've raised it in different portals. I've raised it with the dean of the faculty, associate dean of the faculty, ELs. I've raised it with vice chancellor. So it is all out there basically. They've tried to recruit lecturers, wasn't successful. They've tried to put in place VLs now. Lectures have started to take place now, but obviously it's still ongoing. Head of the department has still not got back to them with the students, because all students want is they want an update from the head of the department to assure them what's been going on and things are being sorted out, and how is it going to have, if any, impact on their submission dates. So they are struggling a lot with all of that, and it's not only that with engineering. I think it's something to do with their accreditation as well, which is again something really, really, really important. Students have been enrolled onto the courses wherein the courses are not accredited. So let's say basically, if they graduate and by that time the university is not able to get their accreditation, so it's really big basically. So that's
Right. And it says, study well campaign, questions are welcome for details as this is a work in progress.
Yeah, the reason why I didn't put details in there is because Nicole is doing a campaign around academic integrity, right? Mine links in with hers. So basically, Nicole's going to be doing around academic integrity, how making awareness about the plagiarism stuff and all of that, right? What it means, and then mine is about making awareness around extenuating circumstances, but in a right way, so that students don't, make wrong use of it. Basically, so I have to be very careful. So that's why I didn't give all the details in there. It's work in progress because we haven't had a plan yet for my bit. Exactly how we're going to approach it. That's why I didn't give the details in there.
Can I suggest that is thought about before
Exams.
April?
Yeah.
Because in the lead up to the recent period in July, that's when you get all the students who are turning around and saying, "Oh, I didn't know that I could apply for this, and I
I
didn't
would
know
love for that to happen. Don't even answer that.
Everything to do around this campaign is currently with marketing on the plagiarism side. On the excerpt side, that's the next phase. So we're doing the plagiarism first, sales campaign that's first raised, and that's a huge problem with the amount of students that have basically committed
Are they on
plagiarism.
specific courses now?
Yes, but it's not just on specific courses as well. That is the biggest concern to us. Is also the balance of BME students against the percentage total demographic. So 44% of our students are BME, 82% of academic misconduct are BME students. So it's that
But
awareness.
that's because they sit around with their friends in the library, so that their work resembles each other, and that's one process. But this recent deadline and the fact that students are being completed as of July and the boards in August, because they're not aware of extenuating circumstances and they're not aware of, for example, the difference between extenuating circumstances and an extension, is a problem. And a lot of them, which will feed through to other support services in the union, aren't aware of what's needed in order to be able to repeat and come back next year on a PTFT.
Yeah, you get that a lot because, I mean, in terms of what you've just said.
You get it in the faculty
I
offices.
know, I'm on the same page as you,
Yeah.
but like just for
In fact,
everyone
that's all
else's
you
benefit.
get in the faculty offices
So students
around
don't
about
understand,
June,
right?
July time.
Yeah, students don't understand.
Students turning around and saying, "I didn't know I could still go through to next year."
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
So that's the whole
on there
reason
ready
And
for
you
that.
lose hundreds of students for that.
Yeah, it
And
will
I
be.
know that because I did the phoning round for them last year, and they were like, "I could still pass."
So that's one
And
of
I'm
the
like, "Yeah,
reasons
but you've got 2 weeks." Well, if they know this now, 2-3 months in advance, it's going to be more
and
achievable.
that's one of the reasons I'm holding on to this and still trying to go ahead with it, but obviously I'm still gonna have to have a plan when we do it, but I'm really
Well, I look forward to the plan.
so, yeah. Let's just glad with it. Anything else?
Thank you.
Liam's report.
Yeah.
Liam's lab.
You won't get this morning's case now. Like Grey on the table next month, then.
Approved?
Yes.
Approved.
Nicole.
I can't read that.
No?
Right, this attendance policy, can you tell us where we're at with that?
Okay, basically, we did the student consultation on December with the survey. We got 4,000 response, 4,500 response from that, and 3 text comments. We embed this working group we are doing with the university in terms to draft the policy. So right now, the draft of the policy is going to the UAC committee to have observations on that and to get feedback about the draft of the policy. But it's not like the proper proposal yet. So at the moment, it's a working draft,
Do you know when a
working
proposal?
progress draft.
Do you know when a proposal is likely to come?
We are trying to put this on place for the next academic year, September 2000.
Because it is still confidential, the second draft.
You mean this draft
The
right
second,
now is only
yeah.
for USC?
Is it still confidential?
I think so. I'm not sure because
See, I have a feeling that the university is going to run this policy through anyway, and that everything else is just noise in the background. But there are an awful lot of students, particularly student parents and other students in the vicinity, who don't feel the need or are not able to attend all the time, and they're going to use this as an excuse to start completing these students.
not exactly because our main goal was to make this not punitive, so there is not any kind of like if you're not attending the class, that doesn't mean you're gonna get a penalty for that.
what they're basically looking for is to enhance and to increase student engagement. So they will try to measure engagement instead of like attendance.
But there'll be a
properly.
penalty for not attending. Otherwise, what's the point
no,
of the policy?
not properly attending the class. But if you are not engaging with your studies, I mean, if you are like, for example, if you don't attend, if you don't submit any work, maybe you will a penalty.
Well, not submitting work, I'm totally with,
Yeah.
but not attending lessons.
No,
You're
there
going to have interns from every faculty contacting those students and harassing them, putting them under extra stress for the legitimate reasons that they can't attend or don't feel able to attend these lessons, and there's no thought around why this is.
Because at the moment, I don't know, I haven't seen the draft version, but have they got a draft version?
Yeah.
They had a working group, and basically there was like more student unit staff than there was university staff. And Richard and Edcarth, he's leading on it, but once it's like it's written, I think it's coming to UAC tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. But if they do say, for example, that you don't attend 5 times in semester 1, for example, then we look into it and we dismiss you or something stupid like that, then that's when we take a stance and say, well, we oppose this and it's ridiculous. But that's what we did. We wrote the survey that went out. We put that together because we wanted to make sure we got
to the group.
But the responses were quite mixed, weren't they?
that's
so.
They can't. Which way can they go?
So there's not going to be a stance from the union, and they'll run through what they think.
No, but
they
then
want.
the thing is, once that if there is like a policy, we can make an easy read of that and then give it to students and get feedback on that being their policy, and then you have to take the next step with whatever happens. So first we did the survey. We didn't know we'd get so many mixed. We didn't know that, did we? And out of like nearly 5,000, we had mixed views. So clearly, students are neither there or there, so they can't do something with such. And that they only had how many views from staff? They only had like
700. Yeah.
Against 5,000
responses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there needs to be a distinction made between students who don't attend and students who don't engage, because there is a clear difference, and there are students who are not attending lessons regularly but are still handing in their work, and they should be sucked into this.
But they're basing it more upon engagement. I think that's the there were points that are what you're saying, but that's what students union you all opposed it. Nicole's been on all the meetings along with Helen, if I'm not wrong. And they both opposed it, because I was speaking to Helen the other day with somewhat the same sort of points, and Helen was able to help me out and answer some of those questions. We are trying to stop them and basically keep it around the engagement. As long as there is some sort of engagement, that should be fine.
On this draft, there is not a punitive action on not attending the class, because we say the same you're saying, like just not. We don't support that. So in this first draft, we don't have that. So.
Okay. Let's move on to
That's fine.
Approved.
Okay.
Is it approved, guys? We need to vote.
Yeah.
We've not got nothing from Rachel.
Well, there's
Rachel was ill before report deadline, so not just before.
Okay, Jenny. No, Jenny.
So it's happy with report.
Oh, okay. Yeah, come.
Oh,
Just
we
approve,
do
sorry,
need to
okay, fine.
present in these people to approve it.
Yeah.
Approve, yeah.
Right, a couple of people sent me reports. Give me 2 seconds. Let me freeze that for some books.
That's a froze.
Hmm?
It's not froze. What was it froze? What has froze? Wow.
You're welcome.
It pauses.
Chair, did you want me to submit a report verbally of what I've been doing? So I forgot to send on it.
Yes, Josh.
I'd like to hear Josh's report.
Yes, Josh.
Okay, so while you forgot to submit a report.
He wants to give a verbal update.
So I'll give a verbal update of what I've been doing. So basically, myself and Josh Richardson, who is the Walsall rep, Walsall campus rep, we are going to have a meeting with campus operations at some point soon because we haven't had a chance to sort one out around our studies at the minute when they're free and we are. To sit down and discuss student security and welfare within accommodation because they're feeling a lot of the time that security are coming in when they shouldn't be and that they're not like pre-warning people that they
You
can
mean in the accommodation?
in accommodation
In the room?
into their flats in general because they feel like it's their living place.
Corridors.
Living in their kitchen and they just come in without even warning or asking and that kind of stuff.
That is, from my understanding, Josh, it's always been like that because they do their hourly rounds or like, you know, to keep a check on whether everything is fine.
Yeah,
just basically because that's the point.
Yeah, it's not like the stairways and everything, but it's people's actual flats. They get the keys and go into their flats and like that. They go into their kitchens. Like,
into their flats. Students are living in there.
Yeah, they've done it in the past.
Has that happened? Have students reported it?
Yeah, people have reported to me and Josh are going to sit down with campus ops and discuss students.
See the problem.
How they feel and if there's anything that can be done about it because
But obviously they won't be happy about it.
it's being brought up at our faculty councils as well, and we haven't had anybody from campus ops there. So I've taken it upon myself and brought Josh in as well as Walsall officer because he understands like he's living there as well.
There is nothing to debate here. Obviously, you know, they can't go into people. They can't go to students' rooms. That's their private life. Corridors are a different thing. But one thing I'll say about it is because, like, you know, accommodation drop-ins, I've been doing it across all 3 campuses, and I've been failing massively. So I went through the provisions quite recently, and I decided not to go ahead with it because accommodation wouldn't let me into their blocks yet. Because look, even me being a full-time officer, I can't come into your blocks, but security can. Corridors are a different thing, but if they go into your rooms, that's
well. When I have the meeting, me and Josh have the meeting, you can always come along to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want me to, definitely, I'll be more than happy to. If you can just forward me the calendar invite.
Yeah. Please. And just following up with all my course reps at the minute. That's what I've been up to.
Cool. I'm massive.
Have you got my update on? Did I send it?
I'm just going with the ones I've definitely got. Dale's.
Dale's a cool. I'll go first. My turn. I can't read no. Can't even read from here.
He's got a paper copy here if you really want.
How did you challenge the communication in Faculty of Arts?
I've lodged a data protection access request with the offices of the Vice Chancellor.
And what happened? What was the response?
It's pending an appeal at the moment, and further direction from our Democracy and Campaigns Coordinator and the Student Union's CEO. I'll have further update from the Council hopefully by the next meeting.
Oh, look forward to your update. That's the next point. You've not been mandated any actions. That's good. Did you receive any feedbacks, not generally though, from the postgraduate courses?
Yes, I did. I had an email from a very concerned student in regards to access to computers and something to do with marking on his course as well, because apparently they're only being marked by 1 lecturer, not 2, because of a staff shortage. But I'll raise those issues later on with relevant areas.
So you haven't raised it yet?
No.
That's fine. I think that'll do for now. Dale.
Do you want to take Dale's reports?
Alright, let me freeze it, let me see who else I got.
I don't know. I'll have to find out. It's one of the postgraduate arts courses. It's the ones that
We've got another one We received apologies from Daniel Robb for his report.
Which report's it?
Daniel Rose, but he sent apologies. So. Agree?
Yeah.
Alright. That's all the reports I received.
So,
Have you got mine? Do you want to do a verbal update? What? Oh yeah. It's mainly the MO index stuff that I've been focusing on, making sure that the computers work, because it got to the point where there were only 4 clusters out of 22 that had all 4 computers working, which made it impossible to do group work. So I've been working on that. As well as that, I've been working on falling in the lecturers in certain modules. They weren't delivering lectures as good as they could have. They were relying on YouTube videos. They were sort of coasting through it, and I feel that they could have been doing a better job. From that, I ran surveys. I made a little report up, and I published it to them personally. And since then, they've sort of condensed their lectures into one lecture. They presented once a week. They've been being a bit more hands-on during the work sessions, and we've been getting through a lot more work. Aside from that, I've been doing various other surveys based on certain other lectures that we've been worried about, and one of the modules we were worried about hands-on time with certain equipment that we can only use at specific times of the week. I basically went in there, did some surveys because people like surveys, and I made sure that the equipment was accessible pretty much every day for at least 3 hours. That was pretty much it. What?
yeah, his verbal update.
Oh yeah. That was pretty good.
That's it.
That is pretty bad one.
Huh?
So,
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Got a verbal update as well.
Okay.
Just trying to work around with the comments to set up more meetings with them to engage international students in see what we can do from the beginning when they arrive.
You want to prove one name report?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yep. That's it for today. Is it?
Any other business?
Any other business, guys? No? Okay.
Wait a second. 2 seconds.
Was that you do news answer?
No.
I'm starting for each round.
Just a very, 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 very quick bit on national and regional activity, primarily national. NUS have done Project 100. It's a thing that they've done around improving their democratic structures. With NUS conference coming up in April, we have 5 delegates going down, and NUS released and put public a paper around their democratic changes. If anyone's interested, it is available online. You can just search for NUS 100, and the proposal will be there. Amendments have happened, but if anyone wants to be involved with talking to delegates around what their vote's going to be around this paper, I'd recommend you just come up with it. If you're not interested, I'm just giving you an option there. I'll send it out as well, a link to it at some point as well. Executive committee meetings. Last executive committee was in Cora, so it was cancelled. It's going to be postponed. There's no meetings. Any other business?
Just very quick one. As you being the chair of here, because obviously you've attended a few of them. I just wanted to ask, like, if you can just push everyone, you know, when you ask for the votes and everyone, just ask them to vote properly, rather than just not, you know, half of them goes yeah and half of them stays quiet. Because I think they should be recorded as well. The minutes, like how many people have voted against, for, or abstained for each of the things. Then obviously that's down to all of us. Not, I would say.
Can you just say that again? Because I'm confused.
Well,
all the minutes are done by me.
Yeah.
And you're saying what? Sorry, about the voting being recorded?
I said basically when we approve anything,
yes,
can you like please ask everyone to raise their hands and everything and like vote for or against or abstain from all the things properly? Because I think they need to be recorded in the minutes as well.
Give me 2 seconds.
They're already in the minutes, aren't they?
No, but I'm not disputing that fact that they're among the minutes, but I'm just saying.
I'm just really confused as to what you currently asking.
You know, like, let's say for example, right now we're voting on the reports, yeah?
Yeah.
And when we ask, do we all pass it? Half of the rooms goes yes, half of the rooms
Oh,
goes
right, so be more audible
yeah,
on votes like
yeah.
that. So
You
it's
know,
nothing to do with the other votes, because if
Oh, no,
graphs
no,
and
no, no,
everything.
no.
So an audible vote.
It's
to be able
basically,
to
like I
actually
said,
be-
it's down
Right,
to
okay.
us basically, so that we take. Just push on like.
Have you ever thought about being the chair?
No, I think I would love to, but I can't do two roles, can I? At the same time.
That's true.
If I could, I would.
So I wanted me to make
If
a
I could, I
decision.
would. Yeah.
Can't be seen, But you've got two different, you've only got two jobs.
Okay, thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you.